Well, after 6 weeks of travel, I have made it around the world with no luggage. I am back in New York where I began this journey many weeks ago, and it's been a success. It's been quite the trip. After a week of adventure sports in New Zealand, I caught a plane across the Pacific Ocean, landed in Los Angeles, and really by that point was running pretty short on time. Spent a night in Los Angeles, went to Vegas. I would have liked to have explored the American West a little bit, but just didn't really have much time because I was having so much fun in other parts of the world. Spent a couple nights at Circus Circus actually, but really spent so much time working on posts and video edits that probably the most memorable thing there was eating a half-pound hot dog at Circus Circus. Memorable but not necessarily pleasurable. It was a little bit scary. And then after Vegas, I flew to New York. I arrived there this morning, and I'm back in the same apartment where I started, and it's really kind of surreal to be back. It's been 6 weeks, but it feels like 10 years. I packed so much into that time of travel since I left. And actually, I'm sort of exhausted right now, not because I traveled without luggage, but just because the world is a big place, and actually 6 weeks is a pretty short amount of time to go around the world in the manner that I did. Also, producing 3 videos a week actually took a lot of time as well. So I'm pretty worn out. I'm happy to be able to get a little bit of a rest, but sort of stoked that I was able to make it around the world without any luggage, and stoked that it was actually easier than I thought it would be. If I had to do it over again, I don't know, I wouldn't change that much really. I would probably make it slower, maybe less ambitious itinerary-wise. I guess I wanted to prove a point by going around the world because it's a nice, concise unit of measure. But if I did it over again, I might stick to a specific region and just make things simpler and take things a lot slower. At the outset of the trip, I had a lot of worries. I wasn't sure how things would go, but to be honest, almost from the very beginning of the trip, I got into this cycle of washing my clothes every night, taking a shower twice a day, and just sort of adjusting to the limitations of not bringing very much. And it was really easy and enjoyable. And in fact, the reason why I'm doing these field reports is that I realized early on that the story of the trip really wouldn't be about no baggage, because no baggage is not that hard, and it really enables you to throw yourself into the experiences of the trip. And if you watch the videos, you'll see that this trip really has been about the experiences and not about the limitations of the no baggage aspect. And so while every week I want to touch on this sort of thing in field reports, the essence of this trip was getting out there and having a blast. And again, if you've read the post and you've seen the videos, I had a really nice time traveling around the world. One thing I really want to emphasize about this trip is that it wasn't really a contest. I wasn't trying to prove something or prove that this was some sort of superior manner of travel. It was really an experiment to see how light I could travel and what one really needs on the road. And I've broken down my kit into what I think is the bare essentials for a trip like that. We can come over here and look at it. This is what I think are the essentials that one would need for traveling around the world. Really, it comes down to a question of what do you need, and you don't really need that much. Again, I think travel is more about the experiences you find when you're out there, and what you bring with you isn't that essential. So this is what I think you might need: a little bit of sun cover, 1 extra set of clothes, in addition to what I'm wearing, 1 underwear, socks, and shirt to keep things fresh in rotation. An iPod or an iPhone to keep your trip organized with and for communications, and a cord to charge that. A little bit of sunscreen, toothbrush, toothpaste, sunglasses, a bottle of soap, deodorant, mineral salt rock, passport, credit card to get cash, and then maybe just a little bit of emergency cash in case your credit card or debit card doesn't work. This is what I feel is the bare essential that you would need to travel the world with. And even at that, I'm sure if someone wanted to go really hardcore, they could take out the extra clothes and just wash what they're wearing every night. But based on my own system, this is the bare essentials. And also, because I wear contact lenses, I would also bring glasses and contacts. Because I'm blogging through the iPod/iPhone, I have a Bluetooth keyboard. But these are the basics. This is what I'm working with. A note about the clothes that I brought, probably the most useful item of clothing I brought. One of the most useful items of clothing for travel that I've ever owned is the SCOTTeVEST tropical vest/jacket. The sleeves are zipped off at the moment, but you probably saw me in colder climates with the sleeves zipped on. The biggest advantage of this is really the pockets. They're all on the inside. There's 18 pockets that I can basically run my trip out of. It made my trip a lot easier than if I didn't have it. You don't have to have a jacket like this, but it just makes it easier for no baggage travel. And because they're on the inside, it makes it more secure, and it just looks better than having a bunch of pockets on the outside. So probably the all-star item of clothing for me was the SCOTTeVEST Tropical Vest Jacket. Other items of clothing, I have my Blundstone boots and my SCOTTeVEST cargo pants were good utility players. I wore them every single day of the trip, and they didn't give me any problem. A good indicator of whether or not an item of clothing is working is if you're thinking about it. And I really didn't have to think much about my boots and my cargo pants because they were very dependable. And the cargo pants look good. If you saw me in Bangkok, they made it past the velvet rope at the nightclub. And I also spent much time on safari with them as well, so they're very versatile. Same would go for the shirts, in particular the performance t-shirt. One thing that people kept bringing up, even my friends well into the trip, is you've got to be stinking by now. I really wasn't. In all honesty, I wasn't stinking because I was washing it every day. I was being very diligent about it. It's a well-designed shirt, and that's part of the reason why I went to the nightclub, to see if I could get past the velvet rope based on my appearance and my smell. I don't usually go to nightclubs, but in that situation I just wanted to see if I could prove that my appearance was still together after several weeks. And if you watch the Bangkok segment, then you'll see that that was a success. Other clothing items, the Q-zip, I've said before that I love this long sleeve shirt. If you were sticking in purely tropical climates, for example, you might not even need to bring this. Socks and underwear. Again, like the pants and boots, there are things that I didn't really think much about. So my Smart Wool socks dried well, wore well, didn't stink, and my SCOTTeVEST prototype underwear worked quite well. And as I think I said before, I'm usually a briefs guy, but the boxers worked quite well, and because they sort of look like running shorts, I could use them as a swimming suit, or I could walk in the hall of my hotel without looking ridiculous. And on a final note, I just want to thank everybody who has been involved in supporting this trip since the beginning. That would certainly be Scott Jordan of SCOTTeVEST, who took my proposal when I first came up with this idea months ago, and has been nothing but supportive ever since, provided me with this great wardrobe of travel clothing. And of course, if you're interested in this kind of travel clothing, definitely check out all of their products at SCOTTeVEST.com. My other big sponsor was Boots and All Travel Network, and their CEO, Sean Keener, who's been a good friend and supporter for almost a decade now. Boots and All actually provided Justin and I both with our round the world plane tickets. They also gave a lot of planning support and assistance, everything from the hostel in Madrid to the safari in South Africa to the transportation arrangements in New Zealand were with the help of Boots and All. I love their attitude towards independent travel, so if you have a round the world trip going on or just an overseas indie trip, be sure to check them out at bootsandall.com or Boots and All Travel Network. A final big thanks really goes out to everybody who's been reading, following along with this blog since the beginning. I've loved your encouragements, I've loved your questions and your comments, and your curiosity about minimalist and no baggage travel. So as you continue to do your experience, please keep me posted about how the experience is going. I really like to see this as an experiment, and so I'm going to learn from you as you guys continue to do your minimalist experiments. And a big thanks to Justin Glow, who's filmed this whole thing and who's put up with me for 6 weeks. So if you want to follow me, I'm at rolfpotts.com, and thanks so much.